Hey YouTube, Untamed here. New vehicle pricing has gotten completely out of touch with reality, and when you combine that with the fact that the quality of new vehicles seemingly continues to go down, all while the price tag gets shot to the moon, it just no longer makes sense to buy a new truck, new full-size SUV, new car, you name it. In today's video, I'm going to give you my personal top list of used vehicles to consider that I personally believe would be the wisest options out of the bunch. When it comes to long-term residual value, that long-term reliability, you name it, I think all these vehicles are really good options. And honestly, I personally would consider buying any one of these with full peace of mind, so stick with me. I won't be presenting these in any particular order, but I will save my personal favorites for last. So obviously, as we go through the list here, you're gonna see my bias shine through on a number of occasions. There's a handful of Toyotas and Lexuses that I'm going to reference here. Number one, right out of the gate, I do believe it is a good idea to consider buying a 2023 and older Toyota Tacoma, the third generation Toyota Tacoma. It comes with a tried and true, naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 engine tied to a 6-speed automatic transmission or a manual option. I do firmly believe that that platform there will stand the test of time. It already kind of has at this point. Much better peace of mind in that comparatively to the 2.4 liter turbocharged four-banger that you now only get in the new Tacomas. And for very similar reasons, the 2024 and older Toyota 4Runner is another ideal pick. If you can get a TRD Pro in an exclusive color, I think that's going to help your residual value as you go down the road. But it does have that 4-liter naturally aspirated V6 tied to that bulletproof, although archaic, but bulletproof 5-speed automatic transmission. That vehicle there, rugged body on frame design vehicle, is going to stand the test of time. Not to mention, I do firmly believe that it has a very, very timeless design to it, in and out. Right? Everything is very tactile. Everything just feels right in that vehicle. Very simplistic. Now, I promise you, I will be sprinkling in some cars into the mix, but my third pick here does go to the 1999 to 2005 Ford Excursion. That does have the 6-liter Power Stroke diesel engine or the 7.3-liter Power Stroke in it. That is a rugged, very durable, built-to-last SUV. A huge family hauler too, right? So great for a large family. If you're like me, we have now 5 kiddos. It makes sense to have a very large full-size SUV like that. And when you combine the fact that it's such a rugged off-roader and tremendous peace of mind with that reliability rating, it just makes sense. Although you will pay a little bit of a premium if you're going to find a low mileage example. Another great option to consider would be a third generation Toyota 4Runner. Late 90s, early 2000s, third gen 4Runner is going to scratch the itch. But the problem with this platform is people have figured that out. There's a huge following behind the third gen 4Runner because they know that it truly is a timeless design with that bulletproof 3.4 liter V6 underneath the hood. That vehicle there has a track record of going 500,000 miles with just performing the necessary maintenance along the way without any real catastrophic issues with it. So third gen 4Runner, although a little bit more expensive than what they were just 10 years ago, they are a great choice. And although this next one is easily one of my favorite, if not my favorite vehicle that I've ever owned, I don't believe it is necessarily the wisest when it comes to the price tag. However, if you are the type to buy a vehicle and then no kidding drive it till the wheels fall off, you'll be extremely, extremely happy with it. That is the 200 series Land Cruiser, right? If you're able to go get a 2020 or a 2021 Toyota Land Cruiser Heritage Edition specifically, they were limited to 1,200 units per year each of those years, so a very low production limited edition model. If you get that, I think they look great. Again, another timeless design, but most importantly, that no kidding is one of the very, very few vehicles out there that is built and designed to last 25 plus years with minimal maintenance, minimal headache along ownership. So I do purposely kind of leave it in the middle of the mix here because I don't believe it is necessarily the wisest option because they have hiked up in price tag tremendously. They've kind of gotten to the point where they don't make sense financially compared to some of the competition out there. But if you buy it, drive it till the wheels fall off, you won't be disappointed. Just a quick personal plug here. Oftentimes, a lot of you will reach out to me on Instagram sharing a very low mile example Heritage Edition. Personally, I don't think I'm interested in buying one at this point. The price tags have gotten a little bit out of touch with what makes sense, especially having purchased one $10,000 below MSRP before, right around $80,000 brand new. I have a very difficult time spending dang near $100,000 for a low mile example. It's still used at the end of the day and it's still 3 or 4 years old. So for me, it does make more sense to buy a brand new Lexus LX 700H Overtrail. That makes more sense. Just for maybe $15,000 more, go get that one. Triple locked, rugged 300 series that we get here. Next up on my list would be a 2023 and older Lexus GX-460. That one sports, again, another V8 option. You may be sensing a theme by now, but if history repeats itself, which it does often, whenever we do away with these larger displacement, naturally aspirated platforms that tend to do well when it comes to reliability. People quickly miss it when they replace it with a smaller displacement motor, turbocharged or hybridized option. People quickly miss the naturally aspirated V8s. We see that with the GX in particular, with that 4.6 liter V8 that it had. People are gravitating back to it. With the new GX-550 costing well over $70,000, $75,000 or over $80,000 for an Over-Trail Plus, it just doesn't make as much sense. Let's stick to reliability, simplicity, and quote-unquote affordability by comparison. Another very safe option to buy used would be a Honda Ridgeline. Just back in 2021, they had a little bit of a refresh to it, but not too much. It still sports the same 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6. Really, the same reasons why I like the Honda Passport are the same reasons why I appreciate the Honda Ridgeline. That new Honda Passport, I think it looks incredible, and it still has that naturally aspirated V6, where so many vehicle manufacturers are deviating from that, putting these tiny little motors in everything, turbocharging everything, hybridizing everything. I appreciate the brand still staying true to reliability, and I think you get that still in the Honda Ridgeline, all while not breaking the bank. Most importantly, we got a puppy dog feature. Hey buddy, come here, buddy. Good boy, good boy. Good boy, Duke. Next up on the list would be the Mazda CX-50. It came out here in 2023 with the current design of it, and I think it looks incredible. I think it's ahead of all of the competition when it comes to the design cues alone, in and out. Not to mention it's built in America, Huntsville, Alabama, out of the Mazda Toyota manufacturing plant. There's a level of appreciation that I have for that type of stuff. But the resale value, at least so far within the last couple of years, is seeming pretty well. So if you can go buy one, maybe a lightly used example, 2023, I think you'll be very pleased with what you have. The next vehicle on my list would be a Subaru Outback, and specifically if you're able to get a lightly used Subaru Outback Wilderness Edition. Not only will they maintain great resale value, as that particular vehicle has proven over the last few decades here, but talk about tremendous peace of mind in inclement weather, right? The symmetrical all-wheel drive that you find in any Subaru is going to offer you tremendous peace of mind. So between that great resale value and the awesome peace of mind in any kind of off-road or snowy conditions, I think that is reason enough to consider the Outback. Not to mention the starting price of an Outback is quite reasonable. So if you can save several $1,000s off of that by getting lightly used, why not? Now the next vehicle on my list I almost didn't include because the new price tags are dang near what you'll pay for a lightly used example, and that is the Honda Civic Type R. I personally love it. It's a perfect example of an iconic Japanese sports sedan that has developed a phenomenal reputation. Excellent lap times around all famous tracks around the world because it is such a well-balanced vehicle. Not to mention it only comes with a 6-speed manual transmission. It is a true driver's car, a true driver enthusiast vehicle there. Not to mention you get incredible resale value out of these. That's why so many people gravitate to them. You can drive them for a few years and not lose your rear end come time to trade it in or sell it again, right? The previous example, the FK8, also equally aggressive depending on who you ask. I think a lot of people actually prefer the FK8. Personally, I do prefer the current generation of it, but both of them are great driver's cars, and that is why they definitely are worth considering used too. And speaking of driver's cars, my next two vehicles are prime examples of just that. Next one would be a lightly used Volkswagen R32. It's the all-wheel drive version of the GTI, if you will, the souped-up version of the GTI. Just last year in 2024, they offered the last model year for the manual transmission. If you're able to get a manual R32, a lightly used example, I think that will serve as a very good quote-unquote investment. Let me make it clear that no vehicle, unless it's like a classic Porsche or something, it's not really an investment per se, unless you're buying classic Porsches, Ferraris, blah, 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 not driving them. But for daily drivers, the R32 with the manual transmission, you can drive it for a while and not lose your rear end. And my next vehicle on the list epitomizes what a raw, visceral driving experience should be, and that is an E92 BMW M3. The E92 ended production in 2013. So obviously you're going to be hard pressed to find a low mile example of one, and if you do, you will expect to pay quite the premium for it. They truly are a driver focused vehicle. Right? If you've ever driven one, especially in manual with the manual option, you're going to love it. It just screams with that 4-liter V8 underneath the hood. It is such a visceral driving experience. You feel everything on the road. That is what a lot of people miss in current vehicles today. Next option on the list is for a little bit more of the logical person. That is a Toyota RAV4. If you can get a RAV4, maybe 5 years old or newer, lightly used example, you'll be extremely pleased with it. Built entirely out of Japan, they come with excellent fit and finish. I have not met a single person who's purchased a RAV4 and been upset with it. People love those things, and they love them for good reason. Not only are you getting that exceptional quality in and out of the vehicle, you get excellent fuel economy too, right? So it's kind of a win-win. It's a hard thing to dislike. Not to mention that residual value, it's up there. And not to mention with the RAV4, it has truly become an iconic nameplate within the United States here. You know, dating back into the 90s, people have grown to really appreciate this platform. It has left a lot of people feeling very pleased with that purchase. So obviously a huge level of brand reputation following just that nameplate alone. Now, if you're not like me and you actually buy a vehicle and keep it for several years, certainly consider getting a Mustang GT350R. The GT350R comes with the race-ready package, if you will, oftentimes spec'd with a roll cage in the back seats, or at least the back seat delete. Comes with carbon fiber wheels, not to mention, most importantly, that Voodoo flat plane crank engine sounds better than anything that I have ever heard as a stock exhaust sound. You can turn on and off the exhaust with opening up the valves with a switch on the inside, but just a very driver-focused vehicle. It's track ready. The entire interior, very simplistic, analog gauges. It is the perfect combination of being simplistic while still offering the bare necessities to feel like a modern vehicle, right? So if you can afford to get a GT350R, you won't be disappointed. Unfortunately, a lot of people have that vehicle figured out. It went away, I think 3 or 4 years ago at this point. It went away, so no longer an option, and well, the new Mustangs of today just don't feel the same. Next up on the list would be a Gen 2 Ford F-150 Raptor. They came out in 2017 and went away at the end of 2020. The third gen came out in 2021 and is still going today. I purposely say Gen 2 because nowadays you can get them for right around that $40,000 to $42,000 mark, which is great, right? Obviously, when they first came out brand new, they were right around the $60,000 to $75,000, depending on which 802A or what package or trim package you ended up getting for it. But if you do end up buying a Gen 2 Raptor, be sure to inspect it carefully. Take it to a mechanic, give it a solid look, because more often than not, unfortunately, as you'd imagine, they are beat up on. People really like to enjoy those Raptors, and as they should. But if you're going to buy one, just be careful with the exact one that you end up deciding on, right? But you can get them for a pretty good bargain at this point, comparatively to buying a brand new one for over $80,000, over $94,000 if you get the top trim 37 performance package. I purposely say Gen 2 also because the current generation Ford Raptor, as well as like the Ram TRX, it just makes more sense to buy brand new comparatively to a lightly used example, maybe 1 or 2 years old. You're not saving that much. With a lightly used example, 1 or 2 years old, it makes more sense to just buck up a little bit more and have that peace of mind knowing that nobody else beat up on your truck before you. Now for my final three personal favorites, what I truly recommend you consider buying. Starting with a 2021 and older Lexus LX 570. It has the same bones and heart as a 200 series Land Cruiser. Still has a 5.7 liter naturally aspirated V8. Still shares the same exact rugged body on frame design as that Land Cruiser, but you can get a very similar mileage example for $10,000 to $20,000 less to its Toyota counterpart today. People really love, of course, the Land Cruiser nameplate for good reason, but might as well save 10 to 20 grand and get a very similar mileage example of the Lexus version of it. That's what I would do. And my second to last example here is not going to surprise many of you if you've been following my channel for a while, but I would certainly recommend buying a 2021 and older Toyota Tundra with, of course, the same naturally aspirated 5.7 liter V8 underneath the hood if you're able to. Comes with a 6-speed automatic transmission. That platform is certainly bulletproof. And I know I said bulletproof a million times in this video, but that Tundra there, I've never met anybody who's bought that and been truly upset with their long-term ownership of it. Very few vehicles will last as long as that V8 Tundra, I assure you. Not to mention, you really grow to appreciate the simplicity of that truck, in and out. You can pop the hood, you can comfortably work on it much more comfortably comparatively to a twin-turbo V6 hybridized option of what you would find with a current generation Toyota Tundra, top trim example like the Capstone or TRD Pro. So, if you're able to get the bulletproof, the last real Tundra, certainly do it. However, the price tags are pretty high, but again, if you buy a vehicle to run it till the wheels fall off, there's very few better options. And this last one will certainly shock a lot of you, but I do firmly believe if you're able to get a very lightly used Lexus IS-500 that sports a 5-liter naturally aspirated V8 underneath the hood, that will be the last of its kind. With so much of the competition in the sedan, sports sedan segment shifting to smaller displacement options, turbocharged V6s, everything has just become way too digital, right? too complex, too much technology, but Lexus still offers a very simplistic feeling 5-liter V8 underneath the hood. I think it's 472 horsepower, 395 foot-pounds of torque. Nothing more than what you need, right? And you don't buy the IS-500 to be the fastest sedan around the track or on the freeway or wherever, right? You buy it because of the feeling that it gives you. Much like many of the examples I provided you today, they're not the quote-unquote best when you look at the spec sheet, but you don't drive the spec sheet, you drive the vehicle, and the feeling that it gives you is unlike any other sedan, right? So if you're able to get a lightly used Lexus IS-500, you'll be very pleased with it. Not to mention, with the recent announcement from Lexus just the other day of the IS-500 Ultimate Edition, limited to 500 units, they're kind of hinting that they are going away. They're going to do away with the 5-liter V8 and the IS-500 platform here. And if you look at Lexus's previous examples, where they did offer their V8s underneath the hood of their other examples, they quickly become more popular as they go away. So I do firmly believe if you buy one right now before they're gone, the whole forbidden fruit thing won't apply to you just yet. You'll be able to get a pretty decent deal, and well, watch the values. They'll remain very high for future years, I assure you. And don't take it from me, go watch any Lexus IS-500 video, look at the comment section, read the comment section. I challenge you to find one negative or adverse comment about that vehicle. Obviously, it's a beautiful, beautiful sports sedan, but so many of the comments are from people who purchased the vehicle, own the vehicle, and absolutely love it. So go check it out. Don't take it from me, take it from other owners. They love that vehicle for so many reasons. And although not technically on the list, 2 honorable mentions would be a Subaru WRX STI from the years 2004 to 2007. You get the Blob Eye in 04 and 05 and the Hawkeye in 06, 07. Very desirable bodies of the STI in particular. Very, very desirable, but finding one with low miles that hasn't been totally abused is very difficult. Getting them in that price point between $16,000 and $21,000 is still very doable, but you got to be very careful which ones you buy. They will maintain that value for the rest of your life, assuming you don't beat up on it and don't put 100,000 miles on it, right? The other honorable mention would be the Honda S2000, produced from 1999 to 2009 here in the United States. That vehicle there epitomizes, again, another very driver-focused vehicle that people have grown to really love and truly appreciate. So 2 honorable mentions. So I'll wrap up the video there, guys. As always, I do sincerely appreciate you taking the time to tune into these videos. If you appreciate this type of content, I do respectfully request that you please consider liking and subscribing. Your support means a ton, and I promise you it doesn't go unnoticed. Let me know if I missed something. Let me know if there's a few vehicles that you would have included on this particular list. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time.